Welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us. All right, I have Mark Yancey with me today. Mark, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, you're running for U.S. Senate, and you've got a wealth of background with dealing with business with your M&A company, some 30 years. Give our audience a flavor for your background, what you bring to the table, and then I want to walk through your policies, all right?
Right. So 33 years in the private sector business. We've started, I'm on my fifth company, of which I started, again, 33 years ago. Actually 5 of them have been very successful, and we've employed hundreds of well-paying jobs. We've met payroll. Obviously, any business has a credit line, and we've done that. My interest in wanting to get into the U.S. Government, in this case the Senate race, is that the fiscal mess that's been created in Washington is untenable. And I'm very good with math. I certainly understand that. I've been watching that for some time. It actually affects our business. So I'm in the capital markets and have been for a long time. And we are on a path that is going to affect our children, our grandchildren, and it's somehow or another it's got to stop.
All right. I want to hear about your policies,
sure,
so that our audience gets a flavor for what you think. I'm just going to roll through from top to bottom. Abortion. It's a big issue with both sides of the aisle.
Yes. Okay. So I'm pro-life, and so I believe that. Only first of all, the good news is that the abortions are down considerably, which is a very good sign. The only policy that I have that would warrant an abortion is if the mother is in, or the child or the fetus is in some type of peril of either dying or becoming somehow or another not successfully having a successful birth, and it becomes dangerous to the mother and or the child. And also, number 2, in the case of rape or incest, I believe those things should be decided amongst the healthcare provider and the individual, and the government should stay out of that. But other than that, I'm pro-life. I think that all lives are precious, and we need to respect that.
What about education? Where is your stance there? What are you going to change?
Of course. So I think we're wasting a lot of money with the Department of Education. So just today, in fact, when I was on my way over here, I noticed that Mr. Cornyn had sent. He was complaining that the House will not sign off on a bill that would allocate $71 billion to the Department of Education. The Department of Education is a complete waste of money, and we've known that for years. And what I'd rather do is totally abolish the Department of Education. Our teachers are so underpaid and overworked, and now with all this stuff that's going on in the school, with this nefarious activity with these shootings and whatnot, we're also subjecting them to a dangerous situation. I would rather do away with the Department of Education, take the $250-something billion, and then rotate it back to the states, and put education in the hands of the individual states, and let them work with the parents. Let parents get involved. Let local educators get involved. And then I think you have a better outcome. These are the very people that are going to be the future of our country, that are going to be running our citizens, productive people. I don't think Washington needs to be involved in that.
Right. Environment. There's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah. Listen. I'm not. I'd be very candid with you, as I will with everything. I happen to be not one of those Republicans that doesn't believe that you have a climate issue. I believe we have a climate issue, albeit I'm not one that's pounding the table saying that we have to make something has to be done with immediate urgency. There is, without question, there are CO2 gases that are changing the atmosphere over time, and it's happening at such a slow pace. We have to start somewhere. It's not. I think where the misnomer comes in is that many folks and media and others will put this sense of urgency that this whole climate issue is going. The seas are rising and the weather patterns changing and all of this is, and so there's truth to a lot of that. But if you go back in history and say, well, it was 115 degrees, which is one of the hottest days we had in the summer of last year in 2019. You could also go back 50 years. I've actually done this. And you could also find a summer in 50 years ago where it was 112 degrees. So there is a CO2 carbon issue that has to be addressed. And I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm not an expert on that. But what I will do is surround myself with experts. And I think most of the Republicans are not doing themselves. I think they're doing themselves a disservice by not being better educated about what that will do long term. So it's not an immediate sense of something that needs to be done on an urgent, real urgent basis. But long term, we really need to think about that for our children, our grandchildren. I'm talking about looking out 50, 75, 100 years from now.
What about federal budget? Where do you stand on what? Because you started the conversation with that.
Yeah, it's an absolute wreck. I mean, it's I'm extremely fiscally responsible and have been on that for some time. Even in the business world, I've spent a lot of time monitoring that. As I mentioned to you just a minute ago, in fact, I tweeted out about that when Senator Cornyn had said we want to pass this bill and give the Department of Education $71 billion. So I tweeted back and I said, Senator Cornyn, where's that money going to come from? Are you going to write the check?
Right.
Because we don't have $71 billion. And I'll remind the audience that just as we started our new the government started their new fiscal year in October of 2020 of this year. We spent $146 billion more than we took in tax receipts in 1 month. We're already in the hole, and so we're in the second month of our fiscal year. So I think, as most of your audience would know, is that we are 23 trillion in debt and counting. The number continues to grow. We are paying almost $1 billion a day to service the debt that we have. And so every time we go to do these things, like Mr. Cornyn suggested this morning with giving $71 billion, we'd have to borrow money from the very people that we're trying to negotiate tariffs with right now, and that's the Chinese. They're the ones that are buying the treasuries.
So you are definitely for finding ways to expand the economy to be able to afford the things that we need to do when it comes to entitlement issues.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Guns.
Yeah. So I'm an absolute supporter of the Second Amendment. I own guns, and they're locked up and they're safe. I'm a responsible gun owner, and so I completely support the language of the Second Amendment. I do believe that if there is someone that is on the federal terrorist watch list, that they should not be allowed to buy a gun. And furthermore, if that individual is on the national terrorist list and attempts to buy a firearm, then the authorities should be notified. We actually have micro laws in place right now to do that, but we're not enforcing them. So listen, gun dealers, and I'm not disparaging them because they're in business just like I'm in business. They're trying to operate a business, but we have to enforce the current laws that we have. We can't sell firearms to people that are going to do nefarious things with them. Number two is that while I support the Second Amendment, anyone that is clinically depressed, and I'm not talking about someone that has bad days where they their moods change from time to time, and I'm not talking about that. This is somewhere that's terminally has been diagnosed as having a mental disease. Just like you've got a bad heart, you've got a bad brain.
PTSD.
Yeah, absolutely. But a very good example. Then they should not be able to own a firearm until they are diagnosed by a physician that says that this individual, even with medication. And we now have a pattern knowing that this individual will stay on their medication, and this person is a person of society that will be a responsible firearm owner. Then I'm okay with that.
All right, immigration and border control.
Yes.
Or border security.
A lot of work to be done there. So it's the walls are the southern border is still porous. I've been there. You know, I'm an inclusive type person. I want people to come from around the globe. I want them to be here. I want them to be in our country. I want Hispanics to be here. You know, but they must come legally. They must come through the process. I support the wall. I believe. Listen, and now we're finding that even the Hispanic people are being creative and finding ways to get around that. So. Look, I'm an inclusive person. I welcome our friends from Mexico. If they're going to be in our country, just like I would anticipate the president of Mexico, if I was to go there and camp out in his country for 2 years and take their jobs, he would want me to register and pay taxes and be a part of that operation as well. We want them here. We want them here legally, though.
All right. Veterans.
Also another mess. Although I would tell you that President Trump has made very good progress with the veterans, and so we've got that's the largest medical facility that we have in the United States in terms of treating our veterans. I would say a couple of things. One is we're making progress, and that progress has been made vis-a-vis President Trump, no question about it. He has been laser focused on our veterans. He's a very staunch military supporter. We can do more. We can do better, and we can stop individuals that come back from these war theaters, from waiting in line. And even for just some of the most minor things, and it gets worse. I mean, it could be minor, it could be major, where they're having to, they're being shuffled around through paperwork, being sent from one facility to the other, and so we need to be more focused on our heroes that are fighting for us for our freedom. If there's nothing else in this country that I could say, there's no one more important than these people in uniform that go and serve our country, that do the things that allow you and I and your audience to go about our daily lives and go home to our family every night and have dinner and wake up next. These guys and ladies are in war theater, going weeks and sometimes months without showers, eating crappy food, and then they come back and we could do a better job.
Now, I was going to ask this. Your policy on alleviating poverty for our underserved populations. Yes.
Well, it's another problem, right? And it's a problem in all 50 states. It needs to be addressed. There has to be a common sense solution to figuring out how there's no reason in one of the most economically prosperous countries, developed countries on the globe, where we have people. Most of them have issues, but set that aside. Most of it's substance abuse and things like that. Everyone has issues. There's 300 million people. There's not many of them that don't have something going on, including myself. We all have whatever it is. People cope with things differently, right? And so, and a lot of these are military, ex-military people, which is very sad. We have to figure out a common sense solution to have people that are sleeping under bridges, that are sleeping on railroads, that are sleeping by creeks and things such as that, and it's not picking them up and it's not throwing them in jail. That's not the solution. So we've got to, Michael. I don't know. Sitting here talking to you, I know it's a problem. It's something that I'm very passionate about, and to me, there is absolutely no excuse in this country, as much money as we have, to have people living in those type of conditions. In Los Angeles alone, the last number I saw, it was 125,000, call it 130,000 people that are on the streets. Most of them in Santa Monica, that are sleeping on the streets, and again,
I'll give you one right here at home in Dallas.
Yeah.
Did you know 40% of the land mass of Dallas is in poverty right now? Do you know the average net worth of a black woman in Dallas is $15? Mm-hmm. There are, most of them, people who are impoverished are making like $800 a month for a family of four. There are solutions. I would like the opportunity to talk to you later.
Yes.
At another show. Yes. About some of the solutions and get your opinion on being able to help create policy that helps alleviate poverty, which alleviates crime, which alleviates many of the other social problems
Yes.
that not only our city but our country's faced with, and our state.
That's right.
Would you like to do
Absolutely. These are productive people. I'm absolutely certain of that. And look, just because they are down on their luck, let's call it, let's fix them. And these are all. I'm convinced that 100% of these folks. Austin's another problem area, right? I mean, you could just go around and name city after city, right? I'm absolutely convinced that we have the resources, and we must act on that and using a common sense solution to make sure that these people have a chance. Let's give them a chance.
Well, a friend of mine said, all we're really looking for is a fighting chance at a square deal. Mark, thanks for being a guest on today's show.
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. All right, you've been watching CEO Money with Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us. Don't forget, download our new app on iOS and Android, CEO Money. Thanks for watching.